Hello, hello, y'all. We are live right here at the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Baptist Church, and I could not be more excited that we are going to be focused on the Better Together Empowerment Series. This is about getting better. Y'all, we're going to be getting healthier, happier, wealthier, and wiser. Anybody interested in getting all those things? Hello? Yes, and I know we got a lot of people online. It was like 90% of the people who signed up for this said they're going to be online, but we do have some people in the room who said they wanted to show up, and we are inviting you to be a part of this experience. Now, most of you may know the woman to my right. This is Debrina Jackson-Gandy. We brought her into a number of different sessions, and what she said is, when I show up, we got to do things not only clear, but what you said you were going to do is create a space for people to get better.
The GPS in our cars, the first thing that it's asking is, where are you starting from? Mm-hmm. And you don't want to think you are in downtown Seattle when you are in Burien, because your starting location will be twisted and your instructions will be crazy. So part of truth telling is knowing where you're located and not having an inflated, because it looks good, positioning myself way up here because it's more palatable, but being able to be in tune with where you are, how you're showing up, and name it, so that then you can get clear about what the destination is, and your pathway there isn't warped. So, and in this culture, in the American culture, we say we're about truthfulness, but we're really about avoidance. We're about image, we're about presentation, we're about sweep it under the rug, we're about project, because those are the ideologies that run the larger Western American culture in which we find ourselves, which are really antithetical to the ones that are in our essence. So that's why it's so important to be able to be truthful. Step one on the path to freedom, the truth shall what? Make you free.
I love it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. So I was thinking about that, and it was just reflected on the prior weeks. And so one of the things for me is living authentically. And so it's always the question, are you living a false self, or are you living the authentic person? So as Debrina said, I just like to call her Dr. Debrina, because she's been doing this work for so long. She's been healing so many souls.
You give me an honorary doctorate.
I'm going to give you an honorary doctorate tonight.
Listen, showing up is everything.
Give honor where honor is due. But that it's the truth that sets us free. And when we tell ourselves the truth, then we're on a different path. So I think that on the right path, I should say. And so I think just uncovering those masks. What are the masks? What masks am I wearing around? And, uncovering those masks. So I think some of that came out of the, these several weeks that really opened us up to the authentic self.
Yes, I love it. Yeah. I love that. Yes, sir.
So when I was thinking about, I go back to sports a lot. I grew up playing basketball, and I wasn't that great of a basketball player. I was late. I didn't start till 10th grade. I was a great swimmer, transition. One of my guys right here is in the room. He knows that too. And I remember I had to tell myself the truth. Like, I ain't really that good. I could shoot a little bit. I had good eye-hand coordination, but I couldn't dribble left-handed. I didn't even know the rules. I didn't even know the plays. So it wasn't until I put all these hours in, but I had to understand, I'm not really that good at all. I started high school at 5'3". I had to figure out the positioning of the team. Like, okay, these two guys are dope. They know how to dribble. We got a 6'4" guy. He's an All-American football player. I can't do that. He's a bruiser. Where am I going to fit in this team to add value? So I could shoot, but that's not enough. I learned the plays, but I spent a lot of hours studying people that were great, looking and breaking down, back in the days, VHS tapes, and looking at how their foot movement was. What did they do? What are the rules? I actually read through the rules of basketball to figure out what was going on. And so when it came to practice, I was all serious in business because I only had a short window to make the team and to be able to. I didn't want to be sitting on the bench, so I wanted to be a starter. Within a year and a half, I got a scholarship because I put so much time in. One of my guys here knows that I spent hours and hours on hours just studying, but it came from me knowing you're not good at this. And I played with guys that were so much better than me that I had to force myself into practicing, getting better. So I think any one of us that wants to improve has to start there, like Debrina mentioned and Dr. Carter mentioned too. Dr. Linda. I hate looking at myself in the mirror knowing that I'm lying to myself. You know, it's easy to do,
Right.
but you realize like, oh, I really do need to lose about 25 pounds. I really am not where I used to be. I need to do certain things.
Right.
And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a little bit more difficult because my discipline may not be where it needs to be, and I need to up that. So
I love it. I think I love the word that you chose. You had to practice.
Yeah.
You had to do the work. And we said from the very beginning, this is not for the faint of heart.
That's right.
Right? That's why we're going to put it together as a documentary, because when you're ready, we talked about you can want to get ready, want to get better, but are you ready to do the work? Wanting to get better is not the same, right? It is not the same. And the practice of getting better is just that we call it the practice of mental fitness, right? The practice of showing up differently, the practice of choosing when I see that saboteur, that thing that is not serving me, I'm going to pivot and do something different as quickly as possible. So I just love that we're laying out a very clear path, y'all. There should be no mystery, no confusion. If you really want to transform, we're laying it out for you. I'm so excited about the documentary concept. I'm just so excited. It was just, it's like so many people who are watching this live have reached out to me, and I'm like, I can't touch you. I can't reach you. But and I want to make sure you have everything you need. How do I pass this on to my daughter? How do I pass this on to my husband? How do I do you do the work? Be a living testimony. Show up transformed, and those around you, the positive vibration, the energy is so transparent. It's so conducive to others absolutely transforming without question. I see a hand over here, so I wanted to call out.
I just have to
Yes.
comment on the basketball story.
Yes, yes.
Being true to yourself.
Yes.
I go to Howard University, I'm in the music.
Yes.
I think I'm into music the way you're into basketball. I spent a little time studying it.
We're gonna have you look at that camera right
But I'm
there.
on campus with Donnie Hathaway.
Oh.
I got Roberta's plaque in the I got Felicia Rashad over here, I got Debbie Allen over here, and I'm in this department. And I'm walking through the 41 rooms of the practice room downstairs, and I hear all this talent. And I had to be true to myself. And I went into architecture.
Walk room.
Left turn. Left turn. I love that. Y'all, I gotta tell you, this is actually meant to be a fun journey, right? We heard Pastor Braxton say once, we talked about, the pain that we sometimes experience when we don't fully transform, choosing one over the other. The truth is, this is meant to be fun. When you're in flow, ease and flow, it's easy. It's actually a joy. When you have the right skills and the right tools, and you're able to show up in your full glory, choosing differently, it is fun. It is easy.
The other part of that story, real quick though,
Yes.
is you did what I didn't do. You studied.
Yeah.
You got yourself ready. I just admitted I didn't want to study.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I appreciate the fact that, because I look at myself, you get into music from that standpoint, and you see one side of it, but you don't see the business side. Tiny Tim couldn't sing, but there's the business side of becoming somebody.
Right.
So I just never really had that level of commitment. So kudos to you for here with me.
And if you don't mind me adding,
please.
I go back to that foundational piece because that was a pivotal time in my life. To know that I could put the work in and get to another level, just to make the team was a lot. And then go from that to be able to be on a team that we actually won a championship, to go from that to be able to get a scholarship. Most kids don't even get scholarships. So it was one of those things where I always look at, when I try new things, it's like, oh, I could do that because I was able to do this. I was able to do that.
Yeah.
So it's just stepping stones. You keep on stepping to the point of using those stepping stones to the next platform, and you kind of demystify the fear factor.
That's good. I love it. Again, we're doing a little recap. I'd like to kind of go back, and she said that's her favorite part as we reflect on what we've been doing. So we talked about week 1, power of self-command. We got this. This is our journey. We get to write the end of this story. Week 2, let's level up, getting better, right? What that looks like. Week 3, we focus on the levels of awareness. Can you share that slide real quick? Because we talked about being true to yourself, right? Leveling up, having a clear awareness about who you are. Truth telling, looking in the mirror, right? Identifying those saboteurs and not being afraid to say, yep, I need to get better in this area. Number 2 was observing and noticing, engaging with others. How are you showing up with others? And level 3 of awareness is not only seeing your opportunities where you might need improvement, not only seeing how you impact others, but actually seeing it and choosing differently, knowing that, ooh, I can intercept this saboteur right now in the moment.
Yes.
In the moment.
Yes.
It ain't later, a week later, oh. It's in the moment. If you're really being true to your transformation, you're not saying that's not my process. I just want to bulldoze people, right? I want to continue to do what I know is less than optimal and then come back a week later and apologize. That's not transformation. Like you said, it's information, but it's not activation. It's definitely not a transformation, because when you transform, you show up differently. People see, you don't have to tell them, they see you. How's your husband, wife, child, or whomever going to know what transformation looks like? They're going to see it, they're going to feel it, and you're going to be modeling it every day.
Amen.
Amen. Yes, Rena, did you want to share something?
So I wanted to add about the forgiveness piece.
Yes.
Because for me, having to walk into a space where I knew in my career that it was just tough every day. So every day I had to walk in there and say, you know, I want to forgive these people. And I'm going to forgive myself. And take the courage to continue to forgive them. Because it takes courage to forgive.
Yes.
And then I looked at it from another aspect, is that when you forgive, it's not just for your emotional and mental state of mind. It's for your physical state also. Because when you are walking with all that, like Reverend Linda said, all that self and woe is me and all that, it triggers things in your body. So for me, when I started that forgiveness journey, and it wasn't just the work, it was with family trauma when I was a kid, and trying to work through that and feeling like I didn't deserve good things. That's the other thing. When you start to forgive, you realize that you deserve good things.
That's right.
You know, and that God is going to bless your life. Because that's the healing piece, is when I walked in that healing journey. And it's no longer the blame game. Well, if they wouldn't have did this, I could be here now. You take that responsibility
I
to
love it.
be happy and content and walk in the life that God intended for you, and not the people that hurt you intended for you.
That's right.
Woo!
I love
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. I love it. So again, week 1, self-command. Week 2, leveling up. Week 3, the levels of awareness. Week 4, we talked about transforming our beliefs. You all remember that? We talked about identifying some patterns. Who did the work? I think I might need you to tape that in, because it's coming in and out, if you don't mind. So we got some power issues. It's okay. You got it. You're good. Okay. We're good. We're good. So we talked about transforming beliefs. Identifying patterns, understanding why those behaviors are occurring, why they continue to show up, listing those patterns, and then understanding why is it happening and what are the results. You guys remember that? A lot of you did the work. It felt so good. That's the beginning of a transformation, when you're like, okay, right? Remember we talked about the 5 primary drivers, that beliefs lead to our thoughts, which are thoughts that lead to our emotions and our feelings. There are feelings that lead to the actions or inactions, and then it's those actions or inactions that lead to the results. So when you go deep, when you start to transform, you're transforming beliefs. You're looking at your limiting beliefs, you're identifying what they are, and beliefs are like the wind. It's happening, right? Flag is blowing to the left, so you know they're there. You can't really see it. You gotta do some work to get to the beliefs. Talk a little bit about that, Debrina, and why it's so important. As we get to the next step of forgiveness, transforming our beliefs was so important and so powerful.
Right. Well, beliefs operate like our human software. So we use that a lot when we talk about technology and upgrading your software, and there's a bug in the software. So there's a lot of similarities to us as humans, and beliefs really operate at the root level, the invisible level, and gives rise to all those things that you mentioned. But because it's invisible, we often stop maybe at thoughts, most of us at actions, and then we try to do something differently. But to go deeper to the source level really takes some energy, effort, attention, intentionality, And it's really our beliefs that really can keep pulling us back to certain patterns. Because you can hear someone say, I really want something to change, but it's not. Oftentimes the it's not is because the beliefs are still there charging, firing, and running behind the scenes. Because you have your laptop here and you have the hardware, but what is really determining the power of this hardware is the software.
Yes.
And so it's the same thing with our beliefs. And so transformational work is also about beliefs. And then the situations that have been pivotal or critical in our lives, not only might there be some leftover emotion that's messing with us, that's trapped in our bodies, and over time, if it isn't released, as Rena was saying, it can manifest as physical imbalance, disease, ailments, illness. But also, there's also beliefs that we tend to attach to certain situations where there was an installation of certain beliefs behind certain situations with certain individuals. And so when we can begin to go back to say, oh my gosh, that belief about money, about sex, about God, about love, about women, about men, and the list goes on and on. They all had an origin story as to when the belief or beliefs got installed. But we often are operating from the same beliefs that got installed between ages 5 and 11. As adults, same beliefs that got installed. Imagine operating off the same software from 1966, 1947, right? In our DOS, right? And so we haven't upgraded our software, or there's viruses running. Throughout it.
So meaning you look good sometimes, but on the inside there's this turmoil. There's a situation where right?
You got bugs and viruses.
Right. Relationships are happening, and why do I keep choosing the wrong one? Is it them or is it you? Just saying, right? Truth telling is important. It's so powerful. So yes.
So I wanted to just, the belief is in this young man here really gave a real powerful stories about how belief, shaped how he lived and moved and exists. And so when I think belief shapes our values, and if, like Dr. Dabrini said, if we don't get to the core of those things, if we don't heal from those, then we will, we'll live in this space that's not really our true self. And so really, and I think that's the power of our stories, is diving deep. And I just remember your powerful story that you had shared with us about, how your beliefs have been shaped and formed by your upbringing, and then, how you really did that work yourself to transform and reshape your beliefs, which ultimately is the values that we live by.
I love it. I love it so much. I think we have a thought from Clyde as well.
Yeah, actually, I'll give this to the panel. As you're speaking of beliefs, we also have a bad habit, I think, of transferring what our motivations are to the person that you have your attitude about, because you perceive that they're coming from a particular place.
Yes.
And then you find out that the only real thing that was happening there was your 4 and 5-year-old beliefs got in the way, and you're not really seeing where they're coming from.
Come on now. Ooh, say that. Ooh, that's good.
Yes, I love
They
it.
say hurt people.
Yes.
Right. Y'all, we got 2 funding sources. One was through King County, and it was the grant was called Racism is a Public Health Crisis. And you haven't heard us talk about racism. We know that it exists. It's just not, we haven't talked about it per se explicitly, because this is about liberation. But what you heard this woman here say, and about 15 other people that have reached out to me in the last week when we were going to be talking about forgiveness. They said, are you going to be talking about forgiveness the people at work? The way when you show up in these systems, are we gonna forgive the systems? And I was like, as a matter of fact, we are. But guess what? When we change a system, the systems change when we change. So this work is so foundational. You can talk about a generic system, but it's individuals. It's each of us deciding that we're gonna show up differently. And yes, when those hurts happen, when things at work are like so unacceptable, right? And you're having to pray yourself into the office and pray yourself out. I hear all this. I might have 74 videos in the last video inventory that we were looking at, where words around how they feel, work stressors, right? And so you can forgive in that space as well. Sometimes we have to forgive ourselves that I stayed so long. Right? Right?
Yep.
I love seeing my check, y'all. I loved seeing my check every 2 weeks just show up. I grew up relatively poor, so my biggest fear was being homeless. God was like, I got you, girl. When he said, let go and be surrendered, that money, that ain't for you. This is for you. Do what I do with my work. There is something so powerful about being surrendered. So we're going to ask each of you to decide today that whatever has been holding you back, whatever has been causing you pain, whatever has been a problem, a trigger for you, that you're going to do the work. We're going to not just talk about power. We're going to do that. We're going to work the practice.
Yeah.
That's what most of our time today is going to be about. We said we had about 30 minutes to have a conversation about the power and the practice. And now guess what? The work begins. The work begins. We also got funding through Washington State Micro Enterprise Association, so King County, and an organization that was focused on businesses. And oftentimes people are entrepreneurs because they were in the corporate space and decided, ooh, set me free. Set me free, right? Let me go do this other thing because, right? Talk about liberation. There's some of that as well. So I think being in a space where everything we've talked about is about how do you improve your business? How do you improve your life? Right, that's what today is going to be about. We're going to actually ask you to go a little deeper. And I think we got a plan to talk about what does the forgiveness practice actually look like. And there are steps. All of these are steps. All of these things we've been talking about for transformation, they all have steps. Debrina, like I said, she's my coach. So my coach has shown up to kind of walk us through this, to lead us through this process. So how many of you are ready in this room? How many of you are ready online? Oh, we have a question online. Yes, please. What's the question?
The question online is, how do you build the practice routines needed to transform beliefs?
That is a great question. There are, again, 3 ways. We talk about showing up. This concept of positive intelligence is about not just thinking a thing, but believing differently. So once you do your little saboteur assessment, it's going to show up probably multiple times throughout the day, right? These saboteurs are going to show up. And so you get to practice. You get to decide each time they show up, what am I going to do differently? You get to decide. You get to do the work then to roll back and believe, right? When you see those patterns that are happening, those are the saboteurs. Right? The patterns are we said there are 4 steps. So maybe you could put that slide up again, the patterns slide, transforming our beliefs. These are the steps. We talked about them. Look for the patterns. Understand the why behind the patterns. Understand the result of those patterns. And then deciding what you're going to do differently. You want to talk a little bit about that as well?
Yes. Great question. And as Dr. Tracy said, patterns are the signposts to our beliefs, because it's hard to Tracy gave the example of the wind. To grab the wind is difficult. To see the evidence of the wind blowing a flag or a branch, that's more easily identifiable. So you got to kind of back into belief work the same way, and starting with your patterns, and choose a specific area so you're not overwhelmed. Okay, I want to have a breakthrough around money. Let me look at my patterns around money. Okay, what are the patterns? Not a judgment about the patterns, but if you were a video camera just recording patterns, no judgment, what would the patterns be? And so the patterns point the way to the beliefs, and they always correlate. A lot of times we stop at our thoughts about the patterns. That's still not the beliefs. So one of the ways to go deeper, vertical, is when you try to fill in your explanation about why the pattern, put the word because on the end of the sentence so that you can yet go vertically deeper. And because the body is calibrated to recognize truth has a vibration that can be measured by hertz. It's real. When you hit the truth, your body gives you physiological feedback.
Yes.
So when you're doing that work of the patterns, and what would the belief I would have to be operating from be for these patterns to exist? And there's only certain beliefs that it correlates with. Here's a clue as well, is if you have not, can't, don't, or a derivative of the word not in your fill-in, you're still operating at the thought level. Because a belief doesn't need a negative stated in it, because we hold it as if it's true by design, though it's false. So
Can you say that again? I think that's the one thing that gets people stuck. We believe these limiting beliefs as if they are true.
Yes.
And so it does take oftentimes someone to help you see it's the opposite. If it's not serving you, it's not true. It's just not true.
yeah. And so you can't change what you don't acknowledge and realize. So that's why we want to get to the beliefs and you be able to pull them up, excavate, really, literally, because they're invisible, really excavate them and be able to set them out. Almost like these cactuses and rocks are sitting out on this table. And so starting with the patterns to the person's question, and then what are the explanations about the patterns, which is still the thoughts, and then put a because on the end of those so that you get deeper to the beliefs. If you still have not, can't, don't, or some version of not in your language, you're still at the thought level. And that's where most of us stop. I've heard people say, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. That's a generic macro thought. That's not a specific personal belief. So we belief work is not lazy work. It's not general and vague and fill in the blank from what I saw on someone's psychological video. So you have to really get to your specific beliefs, because every one of us have a different combination of them. And the beliefs always correlate to what we are manifesting. The beliefs always correlate to the patterns.
You guys hear what she just said? The beliefs always correlate to what you are experiencing in life.
Right.
I had someone say some things that in one of my multiple certifications, that we create, we manifest everything that that we're experiencing. I'm like, what do you mean? How dare you? What about people who've been, have these horrible things happen to them? So the concept is to really just recognize that if it is showing up in your life as patterns, with regularity, you're contributing to that particular belief, and it is manifesting the outcomes in your life. It's okay. It's a fact, right? Things are going to happen. Part of our work is the sage perspective, believing that whatever has happened can be turned into a gift or an opportunity, right? The gift of knowledge, the gift of power, a new perspective, a new inspiration. Like some horrible thing has happened, but you know what? This too shall work out for my good. I believe it. Scientifically, if you believe it, you can manifest it. So again, it's not about did this bad thing happen. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to put yourself in a powerful state of mind so that you can be creative and manifest an amazing outcome? Or is this horrible thing going to happen and you're going to woe is me and go down a path of this is horrible and I'm not worthy and blah, 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 right? There's only two states of mind, powerful or primal. When you're in a primal state, that's that breathing. We talked about the power of the pause. Leave that for someone else. I don't have time for that. I believe that everything happens for my good, shenanigans and the like. Let's make it work. So, yes.
Yeah. So, So our belief becomes what we think, and
Yes.
we have to really, I think, it's been said is awareness, becoming aware of your beliefs. We talked about those saboteurs, but we have to stop feeding the negative thoughts. There's a biblical text that I really like, one of Paul's letter, where it talks about think on those things that are noteworthy. Think on those things that are life-giving. So, I really try and practice, and what I share with people, when you start to think those negative things, you gotta reverse it, because if whatever you feed yourself, your mind, is what will manifest itself in your physical. So I think the power of, like you say, getting to the core of those beliefs, identifying them, and then we can reverse it by changing our thought patterns, what we think. So transforming that with love. So
I love
yes.
it. I love it. The reason this is so powerful, guaranteed to work if you work it. There's the scientific, it's neuroscience, positive psychology, cognitive behavioral psychology, and performance science. What she just said that was biblical, think on the good things. Think on the things that are going to give you the outcome that you want. I'm amazing. I am powerful. I should be charging X, Y, Z, right? Like all the things. Think on the positive things, not on the things that will take you down a path that is not going to get you the outcome that you want. So it is scientifically proven to work. Yes, ma'am. Would you like to share?
Okay, just to add to that, you have to believe in yourself.
Yes,
You
yes.
believe that you can do it. You have to believe that you are somebody. You are
Yes.
a child of God. I remember when I first went to college, when I was in my math class, and the instructor came in and said, well, some of you are going to graduate and some of you are not going to graduate. I said, I'm going to graduate. And I did, because I believe in myself. When I went to college, I said, I'm going to graduate. And I graduated because I believe in myself from somebody, and I know I can do it. And I did it. So that's what we have to do. We have to believe in yourself, believe that you can do it. You're a child of God. You are somebody.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Yes.
I love what everybody's saying, and I think for me, it always starts with faith. And I do believe in myself, but also believe in a higher being. I know you're saying the same thing, but I know sometimes people don't understand what that really looks like. The only Bible verse I remember as a kid was Hebrews 11:1, and it was, now faith is something things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. I ride with that all the time because it kind of manifests a lot of different things. It touches on the fact that, yes, even though I may have a vision, it's limited on my community, right? Based on what I've seen, what I haven't seen. But if I have faith, there's things beyond what I can see that I have to understand. And so sometimes I don't even understand that. And so what I actually was writing down some of the steps that I follow all the time. Doesn't matter if I'm doing DIY projects at the house, if I'm trying to learn something brand new. And just real quickly, my steps are, the vision is, when I'm walking in my vision, I have to identify what excellence is. It just can't be from my head, because my head is limited. What I know, I've only been in so many countries, I only know so many languages. It's like, identify what excellence looks like. It may come from this person, maybe a certain thought, but once I can model something, I can see this is where I'm trying to go.
Yes.
Okay, it might not be the perfect thing, but this is a lot higher than what I know to do. Okay, so now what are the things and the qualities that this person or that thing has? Do I have these things? It goes back to when I was saying, judge yourself, compare yourself. In comparison, where do I need to work on? It's not so much being down on yourself, like, oh, I'm not a supermodel yet, I'm not. Yeah, but there's steps that person takes. Do they wake up every morning at 5 a.m.? And they, Kobe Bryant had 2 or 3 practices a day to catch up and make sure that nobody could even catch him at some point. He put so much time into things. He had a certain structure. If you're lacking in structure, well, maybe I improve that. Maybe I'm not waking up at 5, I'm waking at 7. But pretty soon I'm gonna be able to get to more discipline, more consistency, to the point of I'm building, like I said before, building steps. I'm not going to be excellent overnight. It's going to be a long process. Are you willing to go through the process? And sometimes you're going to go backwards. I'm not supposed to have all this cake, but I had a piece of that. But this morning I woke up at 5 a.m. and I did my workout too. I'm giving myself credit for some things and realizing at the same time I still have certain weaknesses and I'm working on those things, but my trend is always upward. And I think you also have to track your progress. You can't just be out here saying, I want to do certain things, and you don't have a plan, and you're not executing, and you're not even comparing where you're at. You have to have those things in place.
I love it. I love it. Yes, ma'am.
So for me, a long time ago, I heard this thing about, imagine that you're a wolf. You have 2 wolves inside of you. Whichever one you are feeding the most, with the most positive things, that's the one that's going to run the hardest. It's going to take you where you need to go. If you're feeding that wolf inside of you that's negative, woe is me, that's the one that's going to overtake your powerful one. It's like a tree in a garden. If you do not have that tree getting nurtured and watered to grow, it's not going to thrive.
Yes.
And so if you keep it out here in the sun with no water or anything else, it will die. So we must look into ourselves and feed our spirits with the Word of God and with good people in our lives. And sometimes when we're around that forgiveness thing and being empowered for ourselves, you got to prune your tree. I'm just saying.
I love it. I love it so much. One of the things I wanted to do you want to share something real quick, Clyde?
Yeah, well, Kind of, yeah, I think I do.
Did I mention this is a community opportunity? So we love having people online. You know, again, we appreciate you. We're going to bring as many of you into the conversation as possible. Any questions, feel free to bring them up for us, Cassandra. But yes, Clyde.
Well, I'm doing a self-analysis while I'm here.
Yes.
I'm actually trying to work on me while I'm pretending to be helping you, right?
You're absolutely helping me too.
And at the same time, what I'm getting down to is taking a look at myself and realizing how much I spend my mental energy on looking for the flaw. How much time I spend saying, well, you know, this don't work. Quick story. University of Washington, I'm getting a degree in communications. I take a class. I'm not passing it. I go to this guy and I say, I need to drop the class. He says, okay, I'll give you a passing withdrawal. I take the class again. I get about 2 weeks into the class. I say, I got about a D. I need to withdraw from this class. He says, I'll tell you what. You take this class again, or you just go to another school. Now, this is a white guy. At the same time, across the hall from me, he's got all these basketball players, all the black basketball players coming into his office all the time. Of course, they're working on getting their grades up so they can stay on the team. I don't know that. So in my mind's eye, I'm seeing a racist. I mean, you are picking on me, I see you picking on them, I pick on them, I pick on them. So I took the class, my last quarter, I aced the class, okay? 2 weeks later, he gets me the job as the sales promotion manager for K-Limo. So my point is, we see what we think we see, we operate on the basis of, I know where you're coming from, but it's really an inside thing that you really need to be working with. It was my problem. And his answer is purely just like, I knew how to grade, I couldn't let you pass.
Wow.
So my point is, using things like the black card or coming up with this cadre of excuses for why things don't work out, those are your excuses.
I love that. I love that. I love it. And we've talked a little bit about the living powerfully experience. There's 5 superpowers, 5 things that you can do. He just talked about empathy for yourself and the situation, right? How do you show up differently, right? Being able to explore, ask questions without judgment, getting clarity, right? Being able to navigate, think about your values and deciding, am I showing up truly aligned with my values and my mission? Right, being in a space where I can actually truly innovate and create ideas and opportunities and possibilities. Once you've done those things, those 4 things, then you can activate. Then you can truly show up. If you've done that work individually, that works as a team, it works for organizations. When you think about when people don't have inclusion or equity or belonging in your organizations, those same 5 things apply. They can apply to you as an individual, they can apply to you as an organization, and that's actually how you change a system. You change yourself first using those same 5 superpowers. Empathy, right? All the things. Being able to navigate and explore and innovate and then activate. So you do that for yourself. So if you think about transforming, choosing differently, assumptions about other people, all the things you're talking about, how do you truly believe differently? Show up, decide I'm going to do different, and then there are things you can do. Once you understand your beliefs, this is how you show up. Okay, so there's so much we can talk about. There's more that we're going to talk about. But today we said we were going to go through this exercise around forgiveness. We have an overview slide that's going to tell you what that's going to look like, and then Debrina's literally going to take us through this work. So we'll share the overview. So, Debrina, would you like for me to
Tee it up.
tee it up for you?
Tee it up so they have a little insight.
Insight.
This is participative. This is, yeah.
Okay.
This is not just teaching.
This is not teaching. This is doing. Remember, this was not information but activation. This whole experience has been information. You can stay. No, you can stay because we're gonna have you stay. We're gonna have Cassandra come up here too. We're gonna have some real people that are gonna work the process from up here as well. So this idea of you're gonna think about an area where you want to focus on forgiveness. It could be aligned with some limiting beliefs that you came up with from last week. It could be another area, but you just want one area. If it's aligned, that is awesome. If you have a limiting belief, you might be asking, where did that come from?
Oh, I'll go through that part. Just tee it up. I'll go through this part.
So the steps?
I'll go through that.
Oh,
yeah.
well, there you go.
Just tee it up so they know what we're about to do.
So what we're about to do, thank you, is I've invited some people up here who I know are willing to do some work and talk about maybe an area they want to forgive. And as Debrina's doing the work, we're going to actually do it. We're going to actually not videotape anyone in this room, so there's a safe space. We're going to create an opportunity for each of you to truly walk through a condensed version of a forgiveness practice. This is the empowerment and healing. This is some of the healing that's required. So just stay with us. There's going to be 5 simple steps for you to create a new outcome for yourself, and Debrina's going to take us through that. And then before you're done, there's also some aftercare work. I want to make sure you're clear. Don't just start this process and say, okay, I got to go. Right? We will end on time today, but we're also going to make sure that you understand that this is a true, deep experience if you're doing it correctly. So, forgiveness. The session is about the power and the practice of forgiveness. Debrina Jackson Gandy.
Wonderful. So in a few minutes, each of you is going to be able to participate in an active forgiveness process, or I should say the beginning steps. If we were doing all 5, we would probably need at least 2 full hours. And so I've condensed it and I have modified it for, this kind of blended setting. But I first want to just share with you what the steps are that we're going to go through, and also clarify what forgiveness is, because I have found that there are so many misunderstandings. And when I ask people what healing work they've done, healing is kind of the overarching category, and forgiveness is one of many powerful modalities that qualifies as healing work. And so we've talked about some of the prerequisites, like being willing to be truthful, which sometimes it takes us a while to even get to that. So we shouldn't just assume, oh, I'm truthful because I'm ready to do the work. Well, oftentimes it takes unlearning and some work to even get to being truthful. Or you might be fed up and frustrated with how things are going or have been going. But that doesn't mean you're in readiness. That's a different state than just fed up and frustrated. So we're going to presume that you all have moved through all those pieces and you are here operating in truth and you're operating in readiness. But I've asked people, since doing forgiveness work doesn't cost you anything, like dollars, or you need a certain equipment or some specialized technology, you don't need any of that. What is keeping us from doing our own personal healing work? And oftentimes it's because there's some crazy misunderstandings, inaccuracies, bad teaching that we have picked up along the way. And that is what keeps us from not really leaning into that. So for example, one of the false teachings about forgiveness that some of us have absorbed is that it lets the other, whoever is the perpetrator or the offender or the person who caused the hurt, off the hook. And that's the number one reason people don't engage in it, because they're like, no, they hurt me and I'm not going to let them off the hook by forgiving them. So that is a false belief. Another false belief is that forgiveness somehow creates amnesia, as if it never happened. Like you forget, like you've taken a piece of your brain out that holds the memory, and now you're negating that this real thing that really was an experience of yours didn't happen. So then we aren't doing the healing work, because no, it happened and I'm not going to forget it, and what they did to me or what he or she did to me. And so those are falsehoods. Really, forgiveness work is about returning your heart to its natural open state, which is a state of freedom. So it's personal liberation work is what forgiveness is. It's a spiritual technology. It is not just based on your mind. It also is based on the love of a creator that's beyond each of us, and the transformative power of reopening yourself to that force and energy called love. And you have to include that. And it's not religious. It's based on how the world is made, how we're designed. So those are a couple of the falsehoods that people have been operating from. Another one is that time will heal it. Time heals the body if we don't interrupt and interfere with our body's natural self-healing, which was bestowed on our bodies and designed by our bodies by our Creator. But when it comes time to doing forgiveness work, you are to be an active agent, period. And so I want to use a metaphor. When I talk about forgiveness work, I use the metaphor of a toilet in our homes. And if you flushed it only once in 10 years, imagine the mess. Now, my daughter lives in Atlanta. They had several water mains break, and for 24 hours, they could not flush the toilet. They could not have running water or showers or turn on the sink to wash dishes, none of that. And until you don't have running water and you can't flush a toilet for even one day, do you realize? So imagine 20 years and you haven't flushed your toilet except once. Let's equate the flushing of the toilet with doing some forgiveness work. So we have 20 years of poo-poo, I'm using the nice term, built up inside of us. How do I know? Because I can speak to someone and say, tell me what forgiveness work you did behind that divorce, behind that molestation, behind, oh, well, time took care of that. Or I went forward at, church 93 years ago and, went to the altar once. And, so, okay, that's a part of it, but tell me about the rest. Oh, well, that was it. So we've done one flush and everything else is still right there, carried around. And we know when we have an elimination, depending on what goes in the mouth, it's usually not smelling like roses. So we're full of gunk, funk, and junk that is stinking up our lives. So with that said, now let's talk about what happens during forgiveness work, since we can identify some of the falsehoods that we've been told. It is an opportunity for you to begin to clean out the accumulated poo-poo, the emotional poo-poo, the false beliefs poo-poo.
I'm writing it down.
And as a country, as a people, we are at our limit of the poo-poo. And the only way out is we have to clean it, up and out. And anything else we try will be on top of the septic tank. It will be on top of the, so individually and collectively, that's where we are. The old ways are going to continue to cease to work because we have such an accumulation in the toilet that we have got to do some cleaning out. Now, even if I had a 20-foot high pile of poo-poo, time will cause it to dry up a little, yes, but it's still there, maybe a slightly reduced form, and you're still aware it's there, and you will still avoid it. It's still taking up space. That's called accommodation. That's not called healing. Healing is whoosh, hosed off, chlorine, bleach, whatever. The space has been cleared and cleaned, and you now have access to that space again. You can walk right down the center of the floor if there used to be a big pile of ish there before. So you're getting back pieces of yourself, pieces of your life, access to parts of yourself that have been hidden under the poo-poo. Now you can breathe. There's no space you can't go into. There's no emotional closets with do not open on them. Someone goes close to that closet door. Oh, don't go in there, don't go in there, don't go in there. What are you doing? Come away, come away. Because we will start to make accommodations, right? But people can still smell under the door. So the other analogy is a bruise in the physical body. If I punch Ed really hard in this arm with this ring, he's probably going to have a bruise and it's going to be sensitive. 2 days later, Tracy bumps into him and says, "Oh, Ed," and right there it hits the same spot my ring caused. Now, what he will probably say is, "Tracy, you hurt me." And if he's not remembering where the bruise had its origin, he will assign the hurt to her. maybe be upset, maybe think she's trying to hurt him, she's disrespectful, doesn't like black men. I mean, he can just go into a whole thing when really it was an emotional bruise that was still charging. We'd say it was a hot button, it was still firing. And when she bumped into it, he thinks it's her. A week later, it's still bruises sometimes, stay a long time. So then Cassandra bumps into him in the line at Starbucks, right? Backs into him accidentally, and he goes, "Oh, you hurt me." It's because the bruise has not been healed. So this happens all of the time in our lives. Other people and situations are bumping into emotional bruises that are still firing and activated and black and blue under our clothing, because you can't see a bruise until he takes the jacket off, right? So you can't even see it. And so that is happening like pinball machines. Oh, you hurt me. Oh, you hurt me. Oh, I'm offended. Oh, all over the place.
Then I'll be online talking about I don't like black women all of a sudden.
Right.
Because 3 people.
Yeah, they all hurting. Yeah.
So what I love about this, and I see each of you are loving this, right? You're nodding your head. You're like, I see it. Think about the 14, 15 people that have reached out and said, hey, are you guys going to talk about systemic change? We're going to talk about like what happens at work. Think about when you've been bruised by someone, harmed by someone legitimately, and then the next person, it kind of resembles a similar situation. And now we can also be, right, assigning some additional meaning to an experience that could be innocent. Again, back to those 5, explore, understand without judgment. There are things you can do to really understand, where am I at? Like, what's really happening here? So really think about how many times, yes, are there shenanigans? Yes. Is there racism? Absolutely. Of course, we all know that there is. Do I show up like that? No, I can't. So I don't even allow myself to assume, even though I have experienced some shenanigans, I don't allow myself to show up like the black woman who believes that everyone's out to harm me. It's unacceptable. That is not who I am. I believe that every situation, right, works out for my good. So just be careful, right? What she's saying, understand the value of this. Know that we all have a responsibility to do this work, and it is deep work. Are there shenanigans? Yes. Are there systems that are unfair? Absolutely. But can we show up differently as well? More liberated, no matter what happens? We get to, that's what this is about. That's that next level. That's the up level. That's living powerfully, no matter what happens. Right? We get to show up differently. So, thank you. Yes.
Beautiful. So with that said, I want to share with you the steps, because, and there's different approaches to doing forgiveness work. I'm not saying this is the only way, but I do want to let you know what my approach is, because I build it into a lot of my higher level courses and programs. And my love relationships work, I have coursework with women only, coursework with black men only. I deal with black people. That's my primary high passion and divine market. And so I always build healing work into my love relationships content, absolutely. So we're gonna have you start with identifying who. Now, I usually will have people do, I call forgiveness a spiritual treatment, and they have identified 2, 3, or 4 people. But because of the format and the time, we're going to just have the forgiveness work be focused on self today. So if I had you making out a list of, 3 people that were going to be your who, it might be you, it might be someone from a former love relationship, it might be a former authority figure in your life, or a parent. But today we're just going to put self, and that is who we're going to focus on. So secondly, we're not going to do it yet, I'm just walking you through it. Secondly, you're going to be zeroing in on a pretty turning point or pivotal situation that happened to you. And usually in that situation, there was other humans involved. And that gives you some clues as to when you do the treatment the next round, because it definitely is not an event, it's an ongoing process till you get the gunk, funk, and junk cleaned all the way out. And thank goodness it doesn't take as long to clean it out as it did to accumulate. Hallelujah. So the individuals involved in those situations are often folks that in your future rounds of forgiveness work might need to be the who that are listed. But for right now, we're focusing on the I or the self or the me. So you're going to zero in on a significant situation. Then you're going to identify and write down the low-level emotions, the residual low-level emotions from that situation. And where those low-level emotions still are is in you. Now, there's also high-level emotions. So we're not talking about, joy, bliss, and ecstasy and those things. We're talking about the ones that really mess us up and mess with us. So I don't call them negative emotions. I call them low-level emotions, because every emotion can be charted on a Hertz chart according to the frequency. And so guilt and shame have the lowest frequency. So we're talking about low-level emotions, not negative emotions. And emotions can be up-leveled and their frequency changed. And that's great. They're not fixed. So I'm calling them low-level emotions, not negative emotions. You're going to have a chance to identify and name those. Then we're going to be using breath as an aid to help us begin. Keyword begin. Did I say begin?
Yes.
Loosening up the low-level emotions that have accumulated within us. And, the same way when you're pulling out a weed, a dandelion, you don't just yank it all fast because it will regenerate. You got to loosen it. And you might even use a little mini shovel and dig around the edges to be sure there's some give, and then you might move it slowly. So it's the same kind of thing. We want to begin to loosen up some of the accumulated and even encrusted, to use that term, or hardened low-level emotion that has been held in our bodies and our minds and our hearts. And then I'm going to give you some things to say out loud, because this throat area is connected to your personal power. That's why voice is so important. And so I'm going to lead you through some very simple things to say, combined with the breath. And those two together will be a very important aid in you beginning to loosen up some of the accumulated and compacted emotion. Okay? So I want to demonstrate how I want you to breathe, because we're used to using breath to relax us, right? Slow your breath, breathe in slowly, exhale. But I want to show you how to use your breath as an aid in healing work. So it's going to be a little bit different. And I call it a pulse breath. And so instead of going smoothly in and smoothly out, you're actually going to do 3 pulses in. Did you get that? So 3 in, not just 1 in and 1 out, then out. So let's do it together, okay? On the count of 3, we're going to go in, and then exhale through our mouths, okay? Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more time. Blow out hard when we get to the actual practice. Okay, the exhale is really critical. Okay, did you all get that? So in, and blow it out. And we're going to be doing that twice for each one of the speaking pieces I'm going to lead us through. Sounds simple, because it is, but it's the combination of all of these that really support our restoration and the reopening of our heart and the moving out of low-level emotion that's gotten compacted. Sound good?
Yes.
Woo! So, oftentimes when I'm doing forgiveness work, it's with a cohort group. So let's say every single person that we see in the room, we all started together 5 weeks ago. So we know names, we know backgrounds, and we've started to create trust and ask about family members and how did that interview go, and because we were journeying together. So we're just going to say that we in this room have been journeying together, so we can just operate from a foundation of trust and love, because we all are here of being about freedom and our power. So we're going to just declare that that is already the reality in the room, as if we've been journeying together for 5 weeks.
And for those that are watching for this online
yeah.
experience, more of you have been online watching, emailing, texting, talking about this experience. So this is about you showing up knowing that we're your supportive community as well. You're with us in spirit and we are with you as well. So join us on this journey.
Yes, and I'm going to walk you all through it. And when we get to the step where there's some things you're going to speak, Nathan will put them, not yet, we'll put them up on the screen. And I might have some feedback for you. So you want to listen to me facilitating you through the process and just follow my instruction. The key here is not being self-conscious and caring about what anyone else is doing, but you playing full out for yourself. So normally this would be done in a circle and you would be doing the speak out piece one by one by one, then the next person go to the next. But here we're going to be doing it in unison. So you're going to have to imagine it's just you doing it, even though you're going to hear other people talking, but get yours. Be in this for yourself and don't worry about anyone else. Can we do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So you're going to be doing some writing first, and I'm going to have Nathan put on some nice quiet music with no words so that it does not interfere with your thinking and writing process. But you will need a piece of paper, and if you can get a full-size piece, like if you can use a piece from Rena versus that little tiny writing pad, my dear, that would be better for you.
You also have paper here.
So folks at home, you need a full-size piece of paper. And if you have 2 pieces, that's even better. 2 pieces is even better. So remember, the focus for the treatment today is you.
Everybody have paper?
So once I say begin, you are going to reflect on and zero in on a very pivotal turning point situation in your life that really impacted you. And not necessarily positively. And then you are going to, on the left side of your paper, in a vertical list, you are then going to write down the low-level emotions that were the result of that experience for you. And you're going to list it. So hurt is not an emotion, pain is not an emotion. And you want to be as specific as possible when you're listing the emotions on the left side of your paper in a vertical list. Because the more specific you are, the more it will serve you. So for example, sad has a lot of nuances to it. So it might be actually disappointment and not just sadness, right? It might be feeling rejected and not just sadness. So the more specific you can be about the residual leftover emotion that you were left to deal with or contend with, or that you felt was in you or on you behind said situation, you want to be as specific as possible. Okay? So that's the first phase of the process. When everyone is done with that, then I want you to lift your head back up, put your pen down so I know everyone's done with that part of the process. Then there's a part 2, not a step 2, but a part 2 of the process. And then we have the step 3 that we're going to do all together, and I'm going to facilitate you through that. And it's going to require you to do some speaking out loud and using the breath. So I think we'll probably need about 10 minutes. And if we need more to identify the situation that you had, the experience that you had, the happening that you had, that left some low-level emotions in the wake of it, and then you listing those emotions down your paper on the left, I think 10 minutes might be enough time, and if it's not, we will take a few more. So any questions before we start part 1 and have some beautiful music to listen to? I would suggest, and after we start, I will get some napkins, because I think it's always good when you're doing healing work, just in case, to have a Kleenex or a tissue close by, because sometimes reflecting on emotions, they're still in us. And sometimes we have what I call thawing start to happen, and tears can start to flow, or you might be feeling some of those emotions again, and that's totally fine. Allow it to happen. You all are not on camera in the room, so don't want that to inhibit you or cause you to hold back or anything. So we will get tissue for everybody just in case. But any questions before we do part one, beautiful people? Any questions online from anybody?
I don't see anything.
Okay, you all look like you are ready. So Nathan, we're gonna have that lovely music come on, and I will check back with you in 10 minutes. When you finish part one and you have that list down the left side of your paper, please put your pen down and look up, and that lets me know you're done, and we're gonna be waiting till everybody gets finished to move to part two. So. Down the left side of your paper, left side for the emotions. Be sure it's emotions and not thoughts. Emotions. Be sure you're writing emotions on the left side of your paper. On the left. Just right. Yeah, you good.
I'm just taking up the time. On my hand.
Okay, so just put your pen down so I can
Oh.
proceed. Yeah. Okay, everybody's pen is now down. It's okay. So I hope everybody at home. Thank you, Nathan, and we'll turn that back on in a moment. So what everybody should have is on their sheet, you should have coming down the left-hand side of your paper, and I saw that was not the case for some people. You're writing all across the paper, but needed to be on the left-hand side. The instructions are very, very specific and intentional. So you should have emotions coming down the left-hand side of your sheet. Yes? Not thoughts, but emotions. Not situations, but emotions. Yes?
Yes.
All right. So now what you're going to be doing in this second part is on the right-hand side of your paper, and it needs to be across from the emotion you wrote on the left-hand side of your paper. This is why I needed you to keep the format a certain way. On the right-hand side of your paper, you're going to write the opposite emotion of what you wrote on the left. Now, if you wrote unworthy, don't just write worthy on the right-hand side. Don't go the cheap route or the lazy route. Just take the UN off of it, because it might be the opposite of unworthy is valuable. So think it through. Think about the situation that even had you write down the emotion on the left-hand side, and then what is the opposite emotion on the right?
Now, so what's interesting about this journey, we did put they want you to zoom in on the emotions wheel or put a link to that in the chat as well. Some people are like, I have no idea what my emotions are. It's difficult for them to even identify them. So there's several examples online. So if you just type emotions wheel, I think I put one in the StreamYard. But if you type emotions wheel, it's gonna help you with this experience, because again, most people don't have a practice of even identifying emotions, good, bad, or indifferent. So when you identify these are those emotions, you'll see it's a wheel, and it does oftentimes have a corresponding emotion that'll help you choose from the list to make it easier. So I don't know if Nathan can find a link, and we can also put in the comments emotions. So yes,
Beautiful.
if that helps.
Yeah, that's an aid for many people. So on the right-hand side now, across from the corresponding low-level emotion, on the same line, you are writing the opposite emotion. Is the wheel gonna go back up? We're gonna put the emotion wheel back up, so if you need that as an aid, then you can use it. And if you follow it across, in a line, it often has the opposite of the high-level emotion. The low-level emotion is the opposite side of the wheel, so you can follow it across, okay? And this tends to be the low-level emotions on this side. So if you need that, great. If not, no problem, but you're gonna write the opposite emotion in the right
I know
column.
they can't read this particular one. Can you find one that has less words, maybe that helps people to zero in?
So,
or link?
any questions on the assignment? Okay, so let's go ahead and take 5 minutes.
I might have a question.
Oh, yes,
Sorry.
question, yes.
I think I have a question, but I think maybe other people might have the same thing, so
Okay,
I'm going to ask it.
great.
For me, maybe I don't have quite the right emotion, like, categorized a certain way. Like, for example, I have abandoned.
Okay.
Is that considered an emotion, or maybe I
Yeah.
should be using something else?
No, that's fine,
Okay.
yep.
So something like that, would that be on the color? I mean, I can't see the whole thing, but I'm just imagining it might be on there somewhere.
I'm not sure, there's versions of that as well,
Okay.
but yes, that works.
Okay.
Any questions? Yes.
Yeah, I question thought.
Okay.
So, sometimes growing up as a child, we were not allowed to express our emotion, like don't cry. So, it makes it difficult sometimes to be able to name emotions. So, I mean, I struggle with naming emotions, just because growing up as a child, I wasn't, allowed to name my emotion or even feel them. And then, as a got into the corporate world, we're like toughen up, and we don't really take the time to feel and experience what emotions really are. I love how you don't name them negative, but lower level and higher level. So I'm just processing that for us.
Yes.
Really getting in touch with those and not numbing ourselves. And that's a work itself for me.
It is.
So
Because we had the feeling, but we had to stuff it. So it wasn't that we didn't feel usually, at least not early on, but we had to negate it, we couldn't acknowledge it, we had to suppress it. But this can be a practice in and of itself, just naming the feeling, right?
Yeah.
And it not being a thought, but naming the feeling.
Yeah,
So
I struggled too. I was like, is that a feeling? Is that like,
yeah.
I think for our community, we've been trained for so long, right, that we're not allowed to feel our feelings. That's part of this healing experience. Name it, claim it, and then we're going to get rid of it and replace it with another one. But it's a process. So I'm glad that we're being open and honest about it. It's hard to even identify your feelings.
It
right?
can be.
It can be, thank you.
Yeah.
It can be a new practice for us to identify. But again, that's my new normal. When I first started doing this work with Sabrina, Lord, I got in touch with my feelings. I was like, my feelings matter. I am allowed. It actually is a strength to feel my feelings. I don't think I had cried so much in my entire life as I allowed myself to, I'm feeling feelings today. I'm so excited, right? And so I think really practicing this in such a way that allows you to feel your feelings, that too is part of this transformational journey.
Yeah.
Right? She said you're beginning this forgiveness work. You're beginning the excavation. So even just the beginning of identifying my low-level emotions are part of me. Back to that levels of awareness. These things happen. I feel some kind of way about it, right? It's not always positive. And I get to claim that. This is my story. Stories that I own, I get to do what? Write the ending. And stories that I don't fully own, they own me. I had to own, and I'm still owning some of the things.
Rewriting the story altogether.
You get to rewrite the story, y'all.
Yeah, not just the ending.
Yes.
And even being able to express the feelings. So as a former public school educator with social emotional learning, teaching our children, you're not just mad, but going in depth to help them identify what that feeling is and being okay to express it. Because as Debrina talked about, when you have all that stuff stuck in you because you have not been able to release it, then that's where we had many of our children acting out because they had no way to identify and then express it.
Yes.
And so that is why this is so critical, not just identifying, but allowing yourself to feel it and then letting it come out.
Yeah.
Because we are always the ones who have to be strong, supposedly. And I have surrendered that. Like, I don't have to be the strong one in my family
Come on
anymore.
now.
I can support you and all that, but I'm going to go ahead and release and cry and do whatever I need to do so I can stay healthy and whole and not have any dis-ease forming in my body because I'm stuffing. I don't stuff anymore. It comes out.
Y'all love this. Don't y'all love this? This is community healing. We have the answers. We are the solution. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna preface this. I have mostly ladies in here. If you have any sons, this is probably gonna hurt your feelings a little bit.
Okay.
I grew up with a single mother, and I grew up with my grandmother also. Actually, when I looked at the generations in our family, it's mostly women. I'm like the only male in the family on this side of it. Even though I'm one of, like, my dad had 11 brothers and sisters, but I didn't know that side. They got divorced. So I grew up in a women-dominated community and family. So with that being said, I was expressing this to Tracy earlier, I'm 49 right now. Recently, but I've had this kind of stuff with my mom, blow-ups, here and there. Respectfully, sometimes not as it should be. But the reality of the situation is, going back to what Debrina was talking about earlier, all this stuff repressed, just pushed down. Black men don't have a space, and we're talking about this even today.
That's right.
Black men don't even have a space to talk about nothing because it's dominated by women. And if you grew up in a women-dominated environment, and our community is dominated by women because of the absence of fathers. It's not just because you guys are just dominating. Sometimes you took on that personality because you had to take on the role. You had to do, there's a lot of stress that goes with it. So I give my mom grace on that too. But as a black male growing up in our society, I grew up in the Central District. I went to all the salons. I hung out with all the ladies because I was the only, they had daycare. So I'm in their room listening and absorbing all this crap, literally, about black men. Me and my mom, at 12, 13 years old, I had to confront her on all that. Same with her girlfriends. And if anybody knows me, my mouth is done. I'm not a quiet mouth. I'm not a quiet mouse at all. But my mom raised me that way too. So unfortunately, sometimes it came back at her to the point of, I'm tired of hearing all this crap about black men. I'm tired of hearing it on a regular basis. I'm like, you're literally raising a son that's gonna be a black man. And I'm making me feel a certain way. And it was one of those things, it wasn't just me, it was a lot of black men. I'm 49, there's so many black men now in their 40s that are married, got kids, saying the same exact thing, but still nobody's listening. It's almost like somehow we're just making stuff up and we're just like asinine about, who hurt you? You want me to answer that question? Y'all. That's the truth. Because that's the only person that, my mom didn't like hearing this. I had to tell her, it's like, I've never really I've been abused by women. My dad wasn't there. I got spanked, when we talk to whoopings, hangers, electric cords, all that. I've been with all this stuff, but a lot of the dudes I know they know what that looks like. We're like, we thought that was normal, but it's not. Even not even being able to express yourself. Typically, when you look at schools, it's mostly dominated by women also. So now we're in a school system that doesn't support us actually. Now we're just like, where do we go? That's why kids run to the gangs. You're talking about being out of prison. My brothers have been in prison too. I got plenty of friends that went that route. I could have went that route easily. But the reality of the situation, that's the reason why people gravitate, or young black boys gravitate to the gangs or gravitate this other lifestyle, what we saw on TV, or we think that this person has more power, like the pimp type of stuff, or even the rappers of today. We don't get to see the Dr. Carters and all those things on a regular basis. In fact, they don't get uplifted in our community. Because if they did get uplifted in the community more, some of y'all wouldn't have a bigger voice. Right? It happens in church all the time too. You don't see a lot of men in church all the time either. It is not because we're just anti this. I grew up in church. But there's a certain prevalent situation going on in these environments that it's not on purpose all the time. It's just the way it is, unfortunately. But when we don't bring notice to it, then it just keeps on permeating and permeating. And then you have people my age that I've done the work. I started doing the work at 30 though. I was literally in church. Actually, Joe's not here right now, but it was because of Joe in the situation where we're at Mount Calvary, a men's group. I had to hug this dude and talk about I love you. And I was like, he's been knowing me since I was 8th grade. I was sweating bullets. I was like all nervous, and he didn't even know what's wrong with me. I was like, dog, I can't keep doing this. Because I didn't grow up with my father. I didn't grow up with, hearing the love you and all the different hugs. I didn't even still, I can do hugs now. But it took a while, I'll give you some dap. But going back to what I was saying before, having all these emotions repressed consistently, that's a lot of damage. So for me, I've done the work since about 30 years old, started identifying why I am the way I am. But then I also see it in my friends, and I see it in the younger men, and I see it, I talk to women about this all the time too. It hurts their feelings because they're trying to do their best. And it's just one of those situations where we have to understand most men in a certain category have not had the opportunity. And women have to understand you have to take a step back sometimes and actually listen to men. And it's not because they're trying to dominate. They've never had a chance to even express themselves. So if you're in a boyfriend or a girlfriend, boyfriend relationship or a marriage relationship, most likely if the guy's over 35, he haven't had a chance to even say, because we didn't have social media. We didn't have the access to this, oh, that guy's talking about this, we're learning from different people. Outside of my own community, I get to hear somebody talk about this in Africa or wherever. We've never had that. So this is actually an awakening time for a lot of men. They're like, we're not crazy, are we? No, what you're saying, what I'm saying is actually true. And I know most of people, it's like, that's not happening. Most women say that's not true. Yeah, but that's what we were told when we were kids too, and it's the same situation. But now we're awakening, and so what most ladies have to understand, these dudes are not crying per se because they're weak. They're actually crying out because they are strong. And they're tired of being repressed.
Can we give them a round of applause for just showing up? I know we got to move on, y'all. I brought Dr. Carter up here. We're going to continue to move on, but we're going to continue to hear these male voices. So please, go ahead. We're going to move to the next step.
All right.
So I just want to be sure everybody's clear on the next step. You are now writing on the right side of your paper across on the same line as the emotion on the left, and you're writing the opposite emotion. Are we all good?
Yes.
All right, so I'll have Nathan put on some quiet music, and we will do 4 minutes and see how y'all do. If you need 5 or 6, we'll do that. All right, you can go ahead. Thank you. Thank you. So you might want to underline the emotion. You can't do it in writing. It looks like some good narrative, but I wouldn't have you underline the emotion so you can identify what you're writing on the right-hand side. Yeah? Okay, cool.
That's the kid in me. This is
That's why I think you use them here. Is the opposite of any body fear
That's a lot.
There's some is happening. How you coming? You're done writing all your opposites already? That was fast. You go, girl. How you coming? You have your opposites? Very nice. okay, no? Oh, you are? Okay. Is everyone finished with that phase? Okay. Nathan, we're gonna, okay. All right. So let me tell you what this last part is going to entail. Each of you is going to stand up at your seat, and there is a specific statement, 2 specific statements you all are going to say. The first statement, and I'll have you put it up for us, is I now release feeling and the emotion on the left-hand side, the low-level emotion, is what you're going to insert at the end of the statement. I now release feeling, and you're going to insert what you have on the left. I then will have you do the pulse breath twice. If I ask you to do it again, if I ask you to say the statement again, please follow the instruction and do it. This is not about rushing. It's about being thorough. Then when I say proceed, then you can move to the right-hand side of your paper, and the lead-in statement, that dash should be at the end of the sentence. I now claim and embrace, and then you're going to insert the emotion on the right-hand side, immediately across from the emotion that you wrote on the left. Okay? Then I'll say next, and that means we're all going to move to the second line on your sheet. I now release feeling and insert that low-level emotion. We will then do 2 pulse breaths, and I will be giving you instruction, or I might be giving you instruction. I might have a personal instruction for you. I don't know all your names, so I may say, excuse me, sir, and I might have an instruction for you, okay? I might add some things in, so you just want to listen for that instruction. Do our 2 pulse breaths, and this is for the folks at home too. 2 pulse breaths. The second statement, I now claim and embrace. Are you able to, Nathan, put the dash at the end without it being too big a deal? Okay. Yay. Thank you. I now claim and embrace. And then when I say next, we'll go to the third sentence. Now, you may be finished before someone else. So if you go through your words, just sit down while the rest of the group finishes their words. Don't get on your phone. Stay present. This is a group journey. Be a witness. So even if you're done with your words, just sit down and be present for the other people. All right?
All right.
Got it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I may come around and put my hand on you somewhere, like on your back or something. So just keep going through it. If I do that, sometimes I can help you release because I'm seeing you're holding something in that area. Okay? So just keep on with the process and my prompts, even if I come over and I'm standing by you. Any questions? So one of the keys to this, because the throat is part of your power anatomy as a human, so when it comes to these statements, you want to bring some volume to it. So it isn't, I now release feeling. You want to bring some volume to it. You want to charge the atmosphere with your words. You want to open up this area right here, because a lot of the suppressing, oppressing, it tightens up this area. And you may even find yourself coughing a little bit because you haven't been moving much air through that area because of the constriction. So it's fine if you cough, and it's a great thing if you cough, because that lets you know you are actually widening this area out as you are doing this exercise. So, beloved, let's all stand. You want your paper to be on the table if you need glasses so you can see it. Or if you have to, pick it up to bring it closer to you, but I need you to be able to read it, okay? I'm gonna have you, my dear, move over a bit so there's just more space to the chair to the right of you, just so you have a little room. Just right here. Uh-huh. There we go. And you just want your arms just hanging at your side. Okay, folks watching on Zoom, I hope you're standing up. We're with you. You're with us, we're with you. And when I say begin, you are going to start your I now release statement. And then I'll have you move into the breaths, okay? Begin.
I now release
feeling fear.
Pulse breath in. Blow it out. Pulse breath in. Slow blow out. Continue.
I now claim and
embrace feeling trust.
Claim and embrace happiness.
Being. Oops. Okay. I left being off.
Was that the response to the first, or was that going down the list?
Nathan.
We were going
I now
across.
claim and embrace being. So
I forgot to give you the word being. I now claim and embrace being. He's gonna put it. He's gonna put it
Yes.
on the board. Yeah. All right. Okay, pens. Put your pen down and just have your paper if you need it. Okay. We're moving to the next line now. Hands at your side. Stay relaxed. Begin.
I now release feeling insecure.
Disappointment.
Again and louder.
I now release feeling insecure.
Pulse breath in. Blow it out hard. Purse the lips. Pulse breath in. Shake the shoulders out on the exhale. Shake them, shake them, shake them, shake them. And relax. Next, begin.
I now claim and embrace feeling confident.
Again and louder.
I now embrace being confident.
Regular breathing. No pulse breath. No pulse breath. Follow my instructions, just regular breath. Now we're going to the next line. I now release. Begin.
I now release feeling angry.
Okay, let's do that one again.
I now release feeling angry.
Ooh, pulse breath in. Blow it out. Pulse breath in deeper. In, and blow it out. One more time. Pulse breath in. Shake out the shoulders on the exhale. Okay, when you shake it out, shake it out. Shake it out when you shake it out. Not shimmy, not shimmy. Shake it out. Okay, let's do that one more time. I now release.
I now release feeling confusion.
Pulse breath in. Another pulse breath. Shake out the shoulders. Shake it out. Shake it out. Let the hands dangle. Continue.
I now
Claim
claim
and embrace being
optimistic.
confident.
Say your last word again loud on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Optimistic.
Confident.
That wasn't loud. 1, 2, 3.
Confident.
Next, I now. Go ahead.
I now release feeling judgmental.
When you get to the word you're inserting, I want you all to bring a lot of volume to the word. So whatever level you said, I now release feeling, I want you to bring more volume to the feeling you insert at the end of that. Okay? Begin.
I now release
Come on,
feeling judgmental.
Let's do it again.
I now release
Come on.
feeling
Pulse breath in. Blow it out. Stretch out your neck a little bit, left and right, forward and down. And your shoulders, shrug them. Another pulse breath in. Blow it out. All the way out, all the way out, all the way out in. Pulse breath in again, one more time. Shake the shoulders out, shake the shoulders out. Continue.
I now
Being
clear.
clear.
What is the last word again on 3? 1, 2, 3?
Peaceful.
Regular breathing. Next line. I now release. Begin.
I now release shame and guilty.
Now I want you to think about that feeling. I want you to use your hand to show where it's tended to locate itself in your body, and just put your hand over that area. Whatever that feeling is, where has it tended to locate itself and be held in your body? Just put your hand over that area. Scan and see. Oh, there? Where for you? Where have you been held, that emotion? Where has it been centered? Here? Okay. So keep your hand there, and we're going to say that one again. That same one. I now release.
I now release shame and guilty.
Pulse breath in. Blow it out. Pulse breath in. As you exhale, remove your hand. Blow it out, blow it out, blow it out. Continue.
I now claim and embrace being
Peaceful.
Is that the one that's across?
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you hesitate? All right. Let's move to the next one. Everybody got their place? The next one, if you have a next one. Bring the volume forward. I now, go ahead.
I now release feeling confused.
You have yours, we're gonna do it again. Sis, right here, we're gonna do it again so you can do it with this. Okay, you got yours?
Right.
You got your words? Bring your volume forward. Okay? Begin. I now
Release feeling confused.
Let's do that one again. More volume.
I now release feeling confused.
Pulse breath in. Blow it out. Shake your hands out. Shake your hands out. Shake your hands out. Shake your hands out. Shake them downward. Shake them downward. Another pulse breath. Blow it out. Shake the hands downward. Let the energy flow out through your fingers. Release it, release it, release it. One more pulse breath. Stop shaking and in. Blow it out. All the way, all the way, all the way. Okay, continue. I now claim.
I now claim and embrace being courageous.
Regular breathing. If you have a next, let's move on to the next. I now release. Go ahead.
I now release feeling burned out.
Pulse breath in. Purse those lips and blow it out. Blow it, blow it, blow it all the way out. Pulse breath in. Blow it out. Ah. One more pulse breath in, and on the out, say ah on the exhale. Pulse in and ah it out. Next, I now claim. Go ahead.
I now claim and embrace being energized.
Joyful.
Breathe normally. If you have a next, let's go on to the next. I now release. Go ahead.
I now release feeling anxious.
We're going to do that again, and when you get to that final word, give us more volume. I now, go ahead.
I now release
Come on.
feeling anxious.
What was your word?
Guarded.
We're going to do that one again. Give me volume on that last word even more. I now, go ahead.
I now release feeling anxious.
Okay, pulse breath in. Ah it out. Ah it out. Pulse breath in. Ah, shake out the shoulders. Next, I now
I now claim and embrace being calm.
Let's go to the next. I now release, begin. That's it. Is that everybody?
Yes.
So you're just going to hold still for a few moments. And I want to just tell you before we kind of debrief about the aftercare. And also for the folks joining us on Zoom. This may seem very elementary, what we just did. But whether you are consciously aware of it or not, you started to create some shifts in your interior. And whenever you have something you've been holding a long time that now is beginning to move out, your body needs time to recalibrate, especially if those emotions on the left have been there for a while, because you probably could put an age on the situation. So you don't want to move into doing and tasks and stuff around the house and grocery shopping and organizing your office, and you want to relax and go to bed earlier than you normally would, because a lot of recalibration happens when we are asleep. That's why we want to get full sleep. So stay in a very relaxed mode. Don't let anybody upset you. I would recommend you don't take any phone calls, don't start texting, all those things that have become our MO. Refrain from that after we conclude here. That's also for people with this on Zoom. You also should hydrate, because that will help your body actually move out whatever may have gotten a little loosened up, because that can also include toxins. Breath can also carry toxins out. And a lot of times we don't breathe deeply enough for anything to be carried out. And so you want to have plenty of water, at least 2 cups of water as soon as we're finished. And you want to stay in relaxation mode and don't kick into task doing mode. Everybody got it?
Yes.
Get in bed early tonight. Get some good deep rest. Do not kick into doing. Can we agree to that?
Yes.
So that we can honor our bodies, honor our spirits, and whether you understand what may be shifting or not, we still are going to have you engage in the aftercare. All right. So with that, I would like to hear from a few of you. That was quick. How was it for you? There can be a lot of different sensations that people feel when they're doing the breathing. Sometimes people feel nervous energy rise up, they feel heat rise up, they feel a surge like of electricity, or emotion can rise up. There's no right or wrong, so we'd just like to know how the experience was for you. So Ed, did you want to start us off?
Yeah, it's actually amazing that I'm this age that this is the first time I've done this. The first, I mean, I've had people ask you what you feel, but not the practice of taking an emotion and looking for where it's at and how you even feel it. Like, do I even have these feelings? I don't know. Yeah. And then identifying the opposite of that. It's like that's the first time I actually had to sit down and do that. And so what I was thinking about also from the physical part of it, I have a friend that talks about your lymphatic system and getting on the rebounder, how it releases certain things. There's only certain things that allow you to actually drain your lymphatic system. So when I started thinking about that, that's exactly what you're doing on the more spiritual side too. And I'm thinking like, that's the first time I ever thought about that connection ever. So I'm just sitting here kind of amazed that this is not a normal thing in our community. And then the fact that I'm hearing this now, it actually allows me to like think about what you were saying and put it into practice. Like, okay, if I do this in the physical sense, what I'm doing, but this is my spiritual sense, and I see how it's draining the bad programming, and it's allowing it to do something else where I'm like, oh, it's actually opening up the space to be reprogrammed and like, oh, okay. So that's the first time it's just kind of connected all the dots.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh, okay.
Woo!
Yes.
Yay!
I love it. I love it.
So before the next comment, I just thought of something I want to do because of what Ed said. He said, you know, this is my first time doing this in my adult life, right? And for a lot of us, especially, you know, with other people, So I just want you to reach over to one of your colleagues in this process. So Ed would squeeze my hand and say, "Good job." I would just squeeze Tracy and say, "Good job." You squeeze Cassandra. Cassandra squeeze Dr. Linda's. And here it comes. Get ready. It's coming this way. Send it. Did she send it? Okay, now here's the circuitry. Go back and finish right here. Finish it. Say, "Good job." And then you pass it on to her. There we go.
Good job.
All right, so I think Dr. Linda and then the gentleman.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the intentionality of, naming our emotions and being able to release them. And just thinking, when we don't express, and this term is common in counseling, when we don't express, it ultimately depresses us. So I really like that whole exercise. I love it. Yeah.
So I'd like to say, I'm sorry.
This gentleman, you're deferring to this gentleman
All right.
and then that gentleman.
All
Okay.
So with the emotions that I was feeling or that I was working on, they had to deal with my stepfather passing away. And being angry, being lonely, being sad, being confused. I'm looking at this doctor like, what do you mean he has cancer? What? No, he doesn't. We went to see the White Sox the other day, and we walked about a block to the car, and he was in good health. He was in good spirits. But what I have to own is I was comfortable in those emotions because it reminded me of good times. So this is probably something I probably needed to do for a while. That anger just comes from him not being here.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Fully. Thank you. Y'all, this is why we do this work. This is truly about, we got hugs happening in the room. We got love happening, y'all. This is what community is like. This is why we do this work. This is about transformation. It's about healing. These are new muscles, but this is what living powerfully is all about. We get to show up differently. We're gonna do this work. We're gonna make this our new normal. Like, how's this for the new normal?
Yes.
Holding in emotions is not actually how we were designed as humans. This is what we were designed to do and be. It feels good to be free, to be set free. The liberation has been a long time coming, y'all, but it is yours for the taking. Yes.
We want to hear from you before we conclude.
Yes, my name is Ruben Malik, and this has been a long time coming. I'm 52 years old, and it's been, these emotions and these feelings has been a part of my life for a long time. I think back on when we talked earlier about the who. The who. And the who for me is my parents, is the who. Two different households. Growing up as a kid, you listen to one parent talk about the other parent in a negative way. But as a child, you hear these things. And as you grow up, these things affect you because you're looking for what was said in your other parent.
My
you
mind.
don't know if it's true, but you're looking for it. And then when you do find it, it's affirming what was said, but then you start to look for those same things in the parent who said it. And then when you see those things, now the confusion comes. And as a child, I grew up with anger towards both parents. Because you want the best for your parent. They're the best. They mean the world to you, no matter who say what about them. You look at them as your peers, as your teachers, as the one who's supposed to guide you through life. But as a child, as I grew up, I held on to pain that didn't even belong to me. And so I acted out a certain way because of the pain that I was feeling that had nothing to do with me as a child. Taking on the responsibilities and the mindset of an adult as a child. Growing up too fast for my own good. Hearing and seeing and knowing things that have nothing to do with a child. Child should never hear or see. So I look around this room and we're elderly, right? And I wonder, where's the children who should be listening to this program?
Right.
Amen.
Yeah.
Are the parents listening to this program who can make a better decision in their lives to raise their children differently? That's the key. It's about other people. It's not about us. It's about the kids. It's about the children. Let's not wait until we get this age to heal. Let's prevent the problem so we don't have to worry about the healing.
Yes.
So let's teach, let's guide, let's protect the innocence of the children. Let's make better decisions as adults to raise the children a certain way. So that way you don't have to worry about what's yet to come. It's up to us to make those decisions. Let's do it. This healing process is wonderful for me. I enjoy it, the transformation. I enjoy it, the camaraderie. I enjoy the lessons. It means a lot, and we carry it on in our lives from this day forward. So thank everybody for being here. Doctors, respect you all, love you all. Appreciate the open space and the opportunity. Every voice is important. And I'm healing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good. So this is basically, yes, we're about to wrap. I did send you a link, Owen. If you want to join us online, you can jump on StreamYard really quickly. I have one person who wants to speak, I think, in the room. I know I'm going to ask Dr. Carter to share once again why this work is so important and why we're bringing this into community. And then we will lovingly close this session and invite you to our last session next week. It's going to be a recap. We're going to hear your voices. We're going to send actually a link to hear more of your voices so that we can talk about this, your transformation, where you are and where you're going. What else are you going to do to get better, to get healthier, happier, wealthier, and wiser? So, yes.
So I wanted to add something. I love this exercise.
Yes.
First of all, because I feel lighter and brighter. And I'm going to sleep very well tonight.
Nice.
But I wanted to add something to what the gentleman just said. Not every marriage is going to work. And when we say bad things about the other person, you are speaking to 50% of your child. So when you pour and say those things about that parent, they not only look for it in the parent, they start to look for it in themselves. I'm bad. My dad is bad. Well, dad says mom does this. So I'm probably going to be like that. So I would caution us to think about, we need to be the adults and keep our mouths closed around those innocent ears when we're saying things, because we're speaking life around that child. 50% of them is one or the other.
Yes.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it. We're going to have two more people speak. I'm going to have Sean, who actually is one of my favorite people. She's a girl tricker. We've been talking about, like, how do we get healthier, happier, wealthier, and wiser. She understands the transforming belief. She understands the power of forgiveness. She actually said she read her sister's book. I think she brought it with us today. So we understand you've been doing this for a while. Why is this so important? Why should this be our new normal? Then we're going to go to
As we
Owen
just
next.
journey in life, you understand it's a journey. And as the gentleman said, we are in a big age now. And hopefully we are all growing and maturing and living holistically. So it's not just one section of life. We need to be healthy holistically. And so, as I said before, many of us did not have permission to express emotions. And we were told to hush up, sit down, don't say that. We push this over here. And all that gets suppressed. So it's about taking care of this temple, and that means we're going to be dis-ease free. We're going to be healthy and healed and whole in every facet of our life. And it's going to be a lifestyle. And so as we start understanding and growing, we're going to help our youth do the same. We're going to give them the words and give them a space and give them permission to articulate what they're feeling. So many of our youth are in trauma-filled situations. And it's not just violent trauma. There are so many other levels of trauma that our children experience, and we need to give them the tools to be able to help them through the journey to stay healthy and of sound mind so that they can learn and fulfill the purpose and calling that is on their life. And so as we are here in this space, learning and growing together and learning tools to be able to keep our bodies healthy and healed, we need to make sure that we are training up a child in the way that he or she should go, and then they won't depart. So when they get these foundational elements in their life to be able to handle the triumphs and the tragedies that come with life, they will be on a path to being their best self and being healthy. And that's what we need with embracing our youth so they can be whole holistically.
Love it. I love it. I think we have Owen Lawson. Owen is the lead of the Educational Empowerment for New Beginnings. Hey, Owen, how are you?
Hey, good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure to see you. I am glad to have been able to attend on this side of, as we affectionately say at New Beginnings, the digisphere.
How was your experience?
It has been a phenomenal experience. And as I often say when I'm in person, for every person who is in the room and online, as I heard Tracy say many times tonight, thank you for being present and for showing up. And I think in every session I've made a confession.
Yes, thank you.
So I'll keep that straight tonight. I felt like there were reasons why I needed to be where I am this evening. But quite honestly, I wrestled with, was I ready for the task of forgiveness? Was I ready to do that in a public format? And the closest, I think what I was able to negotiate with myself, something that we what is the thing that has allowed you to get to this moment? To continue to participate in the process, to help us stand this up, to not be an obstacle, but then also be courageous enough to take what it is that I needed. And what I did was to go through the exercise of forgiveness and to do that and to see it through. And I did it in the privacy of my own space, but I followed instructions. I wrote copious notes, and I look forward to doing it. And I would just encourage us all just continue to press forward and to practice. The way that we master anything is with practice and in community. So thank you, everyone.
I love it. Thank you so much, Owen. Thank you, y'all. And you know, I'm gonna have Dr. Carter, the current president of the Seattle chapter of the National Black MBA Association. I'm gonna have him give our final words tonight, and then I think we are going to pray our way out of this evening.
Great.
Yeah, so we are going to bring a little spirit. Again, this is about the science and the spirit. So this is the beginning. This is a process. We invite you to continue this. We promise to show up. Remember, this was the MLK. We said this is continuing the dream. This is us manifesting our dreams for actually living powerfully. Each and every one of us being in a position where we can get better, get healthier, happier, wealthier, and wiser. So stay with us, stay on this journey, and there's so much more to come. And I'm just going to pass it on to Dr. Carter and just ask you one question. Why? Why should we continue doing this work?
So this is really important. It's an opportunity for us to get in touch with ourselves, an opportunity to understand our families and loved ones, an opportunity to grow. And that's how you heal a community. That's how you bring people together. So with that, I'm going to be the person to ruin the evening. We're going to be evaluated on our work. But more importantly, Ms. Harrell is going to be evaluated on her work by a crew from the county next week. So my ask, because you can't leave without me asking for something. My ask is bring a friend next week. Bring a friend not only so that they can see the experience, but so they can make up their mind that, hey, the next time that this happens, I want to be there for that. It gives us the opportunity to show our sponsors that we're actually doing the work and that it actually has a positive effect on the community, and it makes them comfortable feeling to continue to fund us. So that is my ask, because we know how powerful it is. You can see how a lot of us were touched this evening dealing with something that last Thursday we weren't dealing with, or so.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Look at him showing up for us. Showing up in community. Lord, I love this so much. Again, this really is, we had 224, I think it was, people in our first experiences from our first session. And each week we continue to grow online. Basically saying, if you're online, join us right here in person at Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Baptist Church. Join us here for an amazing experience. We really want to hear your voices. We want to continue we're going to both recap and share and do all kind of amazing things during that opportunity. So this is going to be about your transformation. It's going to be about our community absolutely living powerfully. So that's all we got for today. More to come. We are going to end in prayer, though. How about that? Just saying. Lord, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for community. I want to thank you for this opportunity. I want to thank you for allowing us to truly create a space for true transformation.
Yes.
Thank you for giving each person in the sound of my voice, whether you're present here or online, whether you're watching the documentary later in life, we ask right now that you continue to do the work, that you continue to be that living testimony, that you allow your life, your freedom, your liberation that you're gaining in this moment, that you allow that to be something that you pursue with courage, that you pass on to all those around you, and you continue to make this the new normal. Lord, we thank you. And we praise you for giving us the courage, the confidence to know the value of what we're bringing. And Lord, we ask that you continue to support this community with maximum empowerment, true healing, and give us everything we need to live powerfully. Thank you. Amen.
Amen.
It's good. Thank you.